Discussion and questions from the floor. I can't remember your name, but yes, ma'am.
My name is April Perot.
I knew that.
I would like to make an amendment to go with $856,146 with no raise.
Say that number again for me. I'm not as fast as I will.
Last year's budget of $856,146.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Article 3 be amended to what is essentially last year's number, $856,146. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the amendment. Questions, discussion on the amendment? Yes.
Why not? Why no raises?
Are you doing that to me?
And again, so this doesn't
Point of
get
order.
too adversarial, I'll point to you, point to him. April, back to you.
Times are hard. Not everybody gets a raise from their employers, and no one gets much more than 2% out of Social Security. With the taxes rising, I think everybody can wait until next year to see what comes about with all the expenses going up.
Yes, sir.
I pointed out last time that this budget increases by 14%. The average person in this room, many of you on Social Security, your Social Security check did not go up by 14%. It might have gone up by 2.3. So while I respect Vince's comment that prices have gone up and everything, the money that retired people living on fixed income did not go up by 14%. And last year's budget had Article 29, and it's not in this year's budget, where there was an opportunity to offset the budget by unexpended surplus. I was very surprised that that's not in this year's budget. And the reason it failed last year is because the audit wasn't completed. But now that the audit is completed, I would think that there would be a significant amount of money that we could apply to offset this year's budget.
I'd like to address that comment as far as the 422, the 722 that was in last year's warrant. 422 of that was for, honestly, shouldn't have been raised because the article was for the grant, if applied for the community center. It was never applied for, therefore it shouldn't have been raised. There was $300,000 surplus per the auditors that's where you got your 722 and change in order for that. It was not, it failed, luckily, because we had to come up with the 725 as you voted in April 1st to transfer that money from capital reserve so that we could cover the town's buy-in on the Fed grant for the public safety building. So if we'd have spent that money to offset the tax rate, we'd have had to go right back out and tax you again on 725. We already had it. There was no sense in expending that to offset tax rate to just go and reappropriate it to cover the grant, which the taxpayers voted to accept the grant. So we had no choice. And actually, now that the audits were performed and the state, where you at, Chief? When the state looked at the numbers, we actually have to have another $16,000 so that we are able to take that federal grant money. Right. So, and that was an oversight at the Fed level, Collins' office, for the extra 16. Good news is, folks, we got it. It's not going to be a raise and appropriate for the $16,000.
Okay, we're still debating the amendment to 856, etc. I'll be there in a minute. I saw your hand first.
I'd like to tap into Ricky again. He explained it the other day. The increase in work responsibilities from the administrative offices, and I don't know if this is relevant, but if you could tell them how much extra we have in the coffers from the audit.
I don't have those numbers.
I didn't think that.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring the numbers from the audit. I
Okay,
did
it's
not.
not up there. It's not
When
in here.
I did have, Lynn and I had a conversation with Ron Smith, RHR Smith, the auditing company, and the reason we didn't put an article in to offset tax rate was because we're not finished with the audit process. They finished up 24, that's the end of 24, and started working on 25. We were 4 years behind on audits. So there was a lot of, there wasn't the accountability to give sharp numbers. So they're working on 25 with Lynn right now. Now, I will address the additional duties. The taxpayers come in and they voted, the playground out here, 32 plus years old, it's gotta go away. We did an article in there for 180,000 that overwhelmingly passed. But by doing that, a large majority of the taxpayers think that, well, the town needs to maintain it. Yes, agreed. But we have to have the manpower to do that. So the pay raise with your public works, the treasurer, public works is good. They're on the hook to take care of that, along with the rec director. We've already set up, where we can get classes for 3 town employees to be certified by the state to inspect playgrounds. The playground committee is working very hard, trying to get things put together to keep all the taxpayers happy and provide something that's fun for the kids in the town. But Public Works is gonna wind up picking up the tab on that with the time and the manpower. Not only that, the treasurer, who, by the way, is elected, with this grant of $3.898 million, she doesn't make any extra money and she has to do all of it. Anything financial, that's her responsibility. She has to cover it with no extra pay. And she's got to stand state and federal audit. So if they come in and ask to see the books, she's got to be able to answer for it. You know, the office people, they're
Rick. There's a lot of chatter in the back. That needs to stop. I'll get the fellow with the sparkly cast, the fellow way in the back, and somebody up front here in a minute. But continue, Rick, briefly.
The office staff has exponentially changed in the past year. They have worked very hard. It's very pleasant to go in and take care of business. They're prompt in answering. Just the sheer amount of the legal things that we have going on that you don't know about is very exponential and it's very time consuming. So, no pay raise, that's fine, folks. But just know that all of the employees of this town, they bust their ass for you. They do it with a smile on their face, even though they got taxpayers that come up and light them up literally at a store, in the parking lot, in the office. They pull them up to no ma'am, I will not shut up.
Wow.
You talk too much.
That's true. That is true. You're right.
I'll get to you.
She's right.
But
She's
I will
speaking
not
the truth.
tolerate that sort of an outburst.
Because he works for them.
Rick, if you could you are a very
They bust their ass for
eloquent
you.
speaker.
They bust their ass for you, folks. They really do. Don't take advantage of it.
Thank you. Rick. The gentleman with the sparkly cast, that is that.
I'm Jeff Toll. I live at 23 Wakefield Road. I'm a new resident of town, come from Freedom. This budget is very comparison to the town of Freedom. Same population, same number of employees, same work ethic. Now, one thing I don't think some people understand is if you have an escrow account and your taxes go like this, every 6 months is what it sounds like it could be in this town if stuff fails. because that's what will happen. You'll have a meeting every 6 months, because you'll have to approve more money. And what happens is, your mortgage company says, we can't predict this town. So your escrow account goes through the roof. I'm talking your neighbors, their mortgage, not their property tax.